Man, oh man, was the Women's College Softball World Series exciting or what? Okay, well, last night's third game of the championship series was kind of anticlimactic, with Texas just plastering Texas Tech 10-4 to win the whole darn thing. But everything up until then, awesome. You had so many close games. You had a few walk-off wins, athletes playing their guts out. Rankings didn't matter because every team had a chance to win their game. In fact, you go back and you look at the scores from the elimination round and into the championship series, and nearly all those games were decided by one or two runs. And, oh, by the way, I would be remiss if I did not mention that several of those games from the Women's College Softball World Series were heard on our sports station, The Team, 1450 AM KNOT. And this Women's College Softball World Series, it was what sports should be. Entertaining, thrilling, enjoyable. I didn't even have a rooting interest in any team. I was listening to those games simply as a sports fan, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Even though the use of video reviews and the length of time that they took got a little ridiculous, but other than that, I can't think of anything else to complain about. I mean, well done, NCAA, and honestly, it was far more enjoyable than present-day Major League Baseball. No obsession over WAR or spin rate or exit velocity or teams using 6 different pitchers in a game because a computer told them to do it, or everyone trying to be a power hitter instead of doing what you need to do to get on base. And I know the analytics fanatics hate that concept. You can't have them hit bloop singles or slow rollers. They need to keep hitting the ball hard so that way they're better at it when the playoff push comes in August. Shut up. The goal is to get on base by any means necessary. Then you can make things happen. Perfect example of that was Game 2 of the championship series. Now, Texas Tech beat Texas 4-3. And 3 of the runs scored by the Red Raiders came on a hit by pitch with the bases loaded, a wild pitch with the runner on third, excuse me, and a throwing error. None of those runs happen unless you've got batters with good plate discipline who do what they can to get on base. But you can't rely on wild pitches and errors to get your runs. You have to swing hard all the time to get hits, or strike out if you don't, or you strike out so you don't hit into a double play. But that last one, by the way, I swear to you, there are actually analytics fanatics out there who do say that, and it is one of the dumbest things I have ever heard. He's like, what? Are you saying batters are clairvoyant? That they know when they're going to hit into a double play? I guarantee you, if I was a major league hitter and I struck out with, say, 2 on and nobody out, I'm not going back to the dugout and saying, oh, I'm so glad I struck out to avoid hitting into a double play. No! I'm going to be hacked off that I didn't get a hit and bring in at least one guy, or that I didn't draw a walk to load the bases and hopefully the guy after me can get a hit. No, you just get on base and try to make things happen. Either set yourself up to have your hitters bring you in or take advantage of your opponent's mistakes. As the great Chinese military strategist Sun Tzu said in his book, The Art of War, the opportunity of defeating the enemy is provided by the enemy himself. Sorry, not sorry, actually. I'm just a results-oriented guy. I don't care how you score runs so long as you score runs. And how do you win games? By scoring runs. Doesn't matter if it's with a home run, a single, a sac fly, or taking advantage of a wild pitch. Just score runs. Because at the end of the day, no one's going to care about your hard hit rate, No one's going to care about your launch angle. No one's going to care about your situational wins added. Yes, that is actually a real stat in baseball. All anyone is going to care about is, did you win the flipping game? Thankfully, NCAA softball gets that, and they gave us an exciting World Series. All right, 928-541-1016, number to call here on the Tri-City Sports Roundup. And by the way, congratulations to the University of Texas Longhorns for winning the College Softball World Series. And speaking of great teams, today on the show, we're going to honor the great teams right here in the Tri-City area. Yes, it's another summer top 10 list. It's the top 10 local teams of the year. And boy, oh boy, did we have just so many successful teams. Region champions, conference champions, teams that made it to the Elite Eight of state, the Final Four of state, the state championship games. Just so many great teams. And man, what really kind of bummed me out is there were quite a few teams that had really good seasons that I just didn't have enough room on the list to put on there. So apologies to those teams who had really good seasons and just couldn't get on the list this year. It's top 10, and when you got like 14 or 15 teams, well, unfortunately, someone's going to be left out. But I think this year's top 10 list is going to be a very, very strong one. So you know what? Enough preamble here. Why don't we just dive into the top 10 list, see who made it this year? Starting off with, of course, number 10. You could say they ran away with it this season. Okay, bad joke aside, this talented crop of runners put in great performances at their regular season meets, which included first-place finishes at the Alhambra Invitational and the Yavapai County Championships. 3 of their runners also finished in the top 10 at the always competitive Ray Worley Invitational here in Prescott. That got this bunch ready for the postseason. They took the section championship with 4 of their runners finishing in the top 10. Then it was on to the Division III state meet. In a tough field, they had 3 runners place in the top 30, and as a team, they finished in 7th place. All in all, it was one of the best seasons in the history of this program. Congratulations to Chino Valley Girls Cross Country, the Tri-City Sports Roundup number 10 local team of the year. Moving on to number 9. Yeah, they had 2 of the top scorers in the entire state on their roster, but they also had a host of solid players either in the starting lineup or ready to come off the bench to contribute. That resulted in blowout win after blowout win. It also resulted in a trip to the postseason. They made it to the Elite Eight of state, where they had an epic battle against an always ultra-talented Flagstaff team and came up short by just 3 points. Despite that loss, it was considered one of the best seasons in program history. Along with an appearance in the Elite Eight, they finished with a 22-8 overall record and a 10-2 mark in Grand Canyon region play. Best of all, their 1-2 punch is back for next year, and they've got added firepower from a local transfer. So watch out for this bunch next season. Congratulations to Prescott Girls Basketball, the Tri-City Sports Roundup number 9 local team of the year. And before we go to break, we're going to have number 8. The first half of their schedule was a rather challenging one that saw them suffer a loss to one of the top teams in the state, then get a dramatic 1-point win over another really good team, and beat another solid team in a, shall we say, rather emotionally charged contest. But that got them ready for the region half of their schedule, where they dominated play, going unbeaten in all their games and winning the region title. The rematch with Vista Grande in the opening round of state proved to be another close battle, one in which they triumphed by 2 points. Their postseason run, however, came to an end a week later in Snowflake, but with a 10-2 record, the Grand Canyon Region Championship, and an appearance in the Elite Eight of the state playoffs, 2024 was definitely a season to be proud of for this squad. Congratulations to Prescott Football, the Tri-City Sports Roundup number 8 local team of the year. All right, Coach, we are just getting started here as I hit my microphone. Good job, John. Very professional of you. We're just getting started here with our top 10 local teams of the year list. Who else made this list for the 2024-2025 season? And which team will take the number one spot this year? All of that is ahead on the Tri-City Sports Roundup here on the News, 1490 AM, 103.5 FM, online at KYCA.info, and live streamed on the KYCA Facebook page and also on our YouTube channel, KYCA Digital. We'll be back with more right after this. We are back here on the Tri-City Sports Roundup. John Rust with you here. Our summer top 10 list continue today. It is the top 10 local teams of the year. Coming in at number 10 on our list was Chino Valley Girls Cross Country. What a season they had. In fact, let's talk a little more about that great season that the Lady Cougars had. We're going to go to the phones right now, and we are going to talk to the head coach of the Chino Valley Girls Cross Country team, and that is Mark Metz. Hey, Coach, good morning, and thanks for joining us.
Good morning, John. Thanks for having me.
So, Coach, as I said, probably one of the best seasons in program history for Chino Valley Girls Cross Country, the section championship, number 7 finish at the state meet. So what were some of the keys to this very successful season for the Lady Cougars?
Well, I know that we had a good off season, and it was just they wanted it, and they had a really good summer, and then I think, a good thing comes from a bad thing is that Zoe Nagel, one of our top runners, got hurt right at the start of the season, had a stress fracture. And so everybody kind of rallied around her, and then all of a sudden she was rehabbing and got better, and by the end of the season we had her, and with that confidence, we just seemed to have that goal of winning sectionals and doing well at state.
And talk a little bit about that state meet. Obviously, you've got so many great runners in there, and just talk about some of the things that your girls did to come in 7th place. Definitely one of the best finishes that Chino Girls Cross Country has ever had.
Yeah, just being able, I think we were so close together. Our top 3 or 4 girls were really close with Eliana, Carly, Maddie, and Zoe, and just being able to push each other in practice and not make it where they were competing and being negative about it, but positive, and how could they improve. And they realized that as a team, they can get better. So pushing each other in workouts and runs and doing the extra things really helped out. I know they wanted to get the top finish ever in girls' history, which was fourth way back when, about 25 years ago. But we didn't do that, but we got seventh, so that was awesome.
Okay, so what about for next season, which starts in, I guess, about 2 months from now? What about next season? Who do you got coming back from this squad?
Well, we have Zoe Nago is back. We have Eliana Metz is back, and Trinity Gray is back, and Julia Somerville. So we have four, and then we have an incoming freshman, Summer Smith, Landon Smith's sister. So I think we're going to be pretty solid this year as well.
All right. Well, Mark Metz, head coach of the Chino Valley girls cross country team. I want to thank you very much for joining us here on our show and talking a little bit more about your squad. Again, Chino Valley girls cross country, our number 10 local team of the year. Coach, thank you very much, and have yourself a good day.
You too, John. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, folks, let's get back to our top 10 list. We are now at number 7. They entered 2024 with a pretty experienced team, and boy, did that experience pay off early. 5 of their first 6 matches of the season ended in 9-0 victories. That domination continued for the rest of the season, which ended with a 13-1 regular season record. Next was the state tournament and that state championship that has eluded them for so long. After whipping Combs in the opening round, they had an epic battle against Sunrise Mountain in the Elite 8, taking the match 5-4. Unfortunately, they could not get past their old nemesis Chaparral in the Final Four. Still, with a 15-2 overall record and an appearance in the Final Four of state, the good times continued to roll for this team. Congratulations to Prescott Badminton, the Tri-City Sports Roundup number 7 local team of the year. Next, we have number 6. They are one of the most consistent high school teams in the area, and this year would be no different. As usual, they put up a ton of goals with their usual mixed roster of upperclassmen and underclassmen, but it was on defense where this club really made its mark. In the 18 games they played, they gave up a grand total of 10 goals. They went undefeated in the regular season and creamed Benson in the first round of state. But in the Final Four, they engaged in a tight battle with one of their biggest rivals, Snowflake. It was a game that had to be decided on PKs, where the team fell a little short, suffering its lone setback of the season. But with an overall record of 17-0-1 on the season and a Final Four appearance, their tradition of success continued in 2024. Congratulations to Chino Valley Boys Soccer, the Tri-City Sports Roundup number 6 local team of the year. Now, it's number 5. This program has been getting better and better over the years, and in 2025, all that hard work paid off. After dropping their first 2 matches of the season, they went on a rampage, winning the rest of their regular season matches, 12 of them by 3-0 sweeps. That gave them the championship of the Black Canyon region. They stayed hot in the 4A conference tournament by sweeping their opponents in the first 2 rounds to not only make the Final Four, but host it as well. Unfortunately, they faced stiff competition from Saul Point Catholic, who ended their incredible run. Still, for a program that's barely a decade old, they had their best season ever with an 18-3 overall record, the Black Canyon Region Championship, a Final Four appearance, and a couple of their players signing with college teams. They definitely raised the bar for future players. Congratulations to Prescott Boys Volleyball, the Tri-City Sports Roundup number 5 local team of the year. And let's talk a little bit more about that team. As we're going to go to the phones, we're going to talk to Coach Ephraim Bernard, Coach Bernie of the Prescott Boys Volleyball team. Hey, Coach, good morning, and thanks for joining us.
Hey, John, thanks for having us. Good to be on with you guys this morning.
Yeah, so like I said, definitely one probably the best season in the history of Prescott Boys Volleyball. Again, like I said, a program that's barely been around for a decade. So what was it about this team where you were able to, after kind of stumbling out of the gate a little bit there, go on that rampage, win out the regular season, and make it all the way to the Final Four?
Yeah, John, it truly was just the athletes. It was crazy, just the amount of buy-in that they had just to support each other and just to get, every game presented new challenges. As you said, our first 2 games were, difficult coming out, the gate, but they just kept their heads up and fought for each other, and it was a great season, yeah.
Like I said, I mean, it's kind of raised the bar for future players. I mean, you had a lot of great seniors on your team who have now left. Just talk about what kind of legacy those seniors, just everyone on the 2025 team, have left for future teams.
Well, speaking about legacy, with the seniors, we had a great group of seniors, and never before in our program's history have we made, first team All-State. This year, not only were we able to place first team All-State with Zane, and Zane Gall was able to be conference player, of the year. And then we had our libero, Noah Hernandez. He was able to be defensive player of the year as well. And then Max McVickers was on the second state all team. So these aren't just, region awards where they also were recognized in the region. This is, for a conference state. So really proud of them. And those guys are all seniors. And we also had a couple other seniors, with Georgie and LTC, Evan, that, just brought so much of the culture to our program. And, we're going to really miss them. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, with all those seniors that helped you get to the Final Four, what's next season going to look like for Prescott boys volleyball? Just talk about how you're going to have to rebuild a little and fill those huge holes in the vein of Zane Gall, figuratively and literally a big hole there.
Right. It just takes a lot of work in the off season just to really get the sport out there. I think one of the biggest things, and as you mentioned, in this, the sport is brand new. It's almost just under a decade, if not. And so, we're just really trying to get the word out there to athletes that, volleyball is a great sport, and it's a sport that you can compete in and have fun in as well. So we're looking, talking about Zane Gall, we're looking, for maybe hopefully there was a little Zane Gall, right, that was watching our matches this year, and hopefully that comes to fruition here in a couple of years.
All right. Well, Coach Bernie from the Prescott boys volleyball team, want to thank you very much for joining us here on the Tri-City Sports Roundup. Again, Prescott boys volleyball, the Tri-City Sports Roundup, number 5 local team of the year. Coach, thank you very much for joining us again. Congratulations on a great season for you and the Badgers.
Thank you, John. You're the best.
Thanks a lot. You have a good one, Coach.
Okay, likewise.
All right. Well, let's get back to our top 10 list, folks. We are now at number 4. Not only did they have 2 of the best players in program history on their roster, they had plenty of other really good players to boot. With all that talent, they rolled over one opponent after another. But what about the more talented teams they went up against, you ask? They usually beat them too, including some of the top teams in California during a tournament there. They owned the Grand Canyon region, going 12-0 to win the region championship again. They did have some challenging games in the state tournament, but prevailed in them, including a victory in overtime. For just the 3rd time in team history, they made it to the Final Four of state, but came up short by 6 points to St. Mary's. But with a 22-7 overall record, a region championship, and a Final Four appearance, this will be a team fans talk about for a long time. Congratulations to Prescott boys basketball, the Tri-City Sports Roundup, number 4 local team of the year. Now it's number 3. They knew this would be one heck of a season when they won their first 3 games by a combined score of 13-0. That domination continued as they not only showed off their offensive prowess, but possessed one of the best defenses in the entire state. They fired the absolute zero cannon again and again, pitching 11 shutouts, 2 of them coming in the postseason. And what a postseason run it was for them. First going 1-1 in the Open Division of State, then going back to the 4A Conference State Tournament, knocking off Cactus Shadows in overtime in the Final Four, then going to the state championship game against an always tough Saul Point Catholic team. It was one heck of a dogfight, one in which they came up a little short, dropping the game 1-0. But with a 14-3-1 record, a Grand Canyon Region Championship, a state runner-up finish, and a defense that allowed only 9 goals the entire season, they can be proud of everything they accomplished during the 2024-2025 campaign. Congratulations to Prescott Girls Soccer, the Tri-City Sports Roundup number 3 local team of the year. We're now at number 2. It was their first season in existence, so this would be a year where everyone expected them to adjust to this new sport, and if they were lucky, maybe they could end the season with a record around 500. But this group stunned the Arizona high school sports world as they kept winning and winning and winning, and ultimately won the Mountain Sky region. Then they dove into the state playoffs, facing off against some very talented and in some cases more experienced teams. But they held their own, winning some tough battles in the first 2 rounds, then getting a last-minute dramatic victory in the Final Four against Coconino. So in their debut season, they played for the state championship, only to come up short by 3 points to St. Mary's. But what a first season it was for this bunch. A 15-1 overall record, a region championship, and a state runner-up finish. And best of all, most of the roster is back for this coming season. Congratulations to Prescott Flag Football, the Tri-City Sports Roundup number 2 local team of the year. Well, folks, that just leaves us with number 1. Who will be our top team this year on our top 10 local teams of the year? Who grabs that number 1 spot? Well, I'm going to keep you in suspense a little bit longer because we got to take a break and pay some bills. But when we come back, we will announce the Tri-City Sports Roundup number 1 local team of the year. We'll be back after this. We are back here on the Tri-City Sports Roundup. John Rust with you here. We are doing our top 10 local teams of the year for the 2024-2025 season. Before we get to number 1, let's do a quick recap of numbers 10 through 2. Number 10 was Chino Valley Girls Cross Country. Number 9, the Prescott Girls Basketball Team. Number 8, the Prescott Football Team. Number 7, the Prescott Badminton Team. Number 6, Chino Valley Boys Soccer. Number 5, Prescott Boys Volleyball. Number 4, the Prescott Boys Basketball Team. Number 3, the Prescott Girls Soccer Team. Number 2 was the Prescott flag football team. And now, number 1. The senior class for this team had been putting together stellar performances for years, and this year, everything paid off for them. They had a core group of athletes who just killed it in several events, putting together top finishes in numerous regular season invitationals. That got them more than ready for the state meet. Their efforts produced 4 individual state champions, 2 state champion relay teams, and 2 individual state runners-up. They also had a sophomore who got them quite a few points in one event. You add up all those points, and what does that get you? The state championship for Division III. After getting all those medals and that big trophy, many of those seniors will compete at the next level, and their accomplishments will forever be remembered with a big championship banner hanging in the gym. Congratulations to the state champion Prescott girls track and field team, the Tri-City Sports Roundup 2025, 2024, 2025 number 1 local team of the year. And well, let's talk a little bit more about the state champion Prescott girls track and field team. We're going to go to the phones right now, and we are going to talk to their head coach, that is Michael Zeminski. Hey, Coach, good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, John.
So, Coach, well, you win a state championship. No surprise that you're going to be the number 1 local team of the year here on Tri-City Sports Roundup. Again, you had an incredible senior class. A lot of them will be competing at the college level next year, some in the D1 ranks. Just what was it about this senior class, this core group of girls, that made this team so special and was able to bring home a state championship to Prescott?
Oh, man, I wish I knew so I could repeat it. It's going to be tough. But they're just some of the most, competent athletes, for one, and just dedicated athletes. We've been planning for this. Well, we knew this was a possibility since last year, and that core group of athletes especially that earned us all those points have been working towards this since last summer, basically. Since last season ended and they had a good year at state, they've been working towards winning it this year.
And I think probably one of the more interesting aspects of this was Violet Williams, who was actually a state champion in her freshman year and kind of missed her sophomore season with a really bad injury, but a knee injury, if I remember right. But boy, oh boy, did she recover from that to gain a heck of a lot more state titles before she graduated. And, I'm sure probably has set I don't know how many different kinds of records for Prescott track and field.
Yeah, Violet's an outlier. She brought home 4 medals her freshman year, tore her ACL sophomore year, which kind of put a damper on things. But as soon as she was ready to start training again, she started coming out. And then last year, and yeah, you mentioned it, she has 8 school records in different events, which is almost half of all the track events.
And then you look at the relay teams. It's always tough to get a state championship in even one relay team, but you had 2 of your relay teams bring home state titles. And, I know when I've had track and field athletes in here, we always ask them about, what does it take to make a really good relay team? Because it's not like any other event where you can just depend on one person. You got to depend on all 4 people doing their job to bring home that medal. So just talk about your relay teams. What was it about them that made them just so awesome this season?
Yeah, the relay teams are kind of what were the foundation even since last year, and it's made up of Violet and Kenzie, who have been best friends since as long as they can remember, as far as I know. And then we lucked out last year when we got both Wiley and Aubrey coming out of state, who were both great athletes, and they got along well, so they all just had really good chemistry. It didn't take long last year to kind of get them in sync and working well, and they were able to go to state for their 4x4 last year, and then they kept grinding, and then this year, both their 4x1 and 4x4 took them to open state, and they dominated our division. They were great, and that's also being the team part helps motivate everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I mentioned about a lot of the really great finishes that your squad had during the regular season. So many invitationals you went to, and obviously, when you get to those invitationals, you're not just going up against Division III teams. There are teams from all the divisions at these invitationals. So, talk about how critical it was to use those invitationals for your teams to get ready to compete at the state level.
Yeah, most of our meets are much bigger meets in Phoenix, competing against a lot of the bigger schools. For one, because like the relay teams, they had no competition much in the way of our division, so it gives them someone to push against. They don't get the chance to settle in and get comfortable. They're still having to push to win, and nothing comes for free. So the whole season we're going against competitive teams to be ready for the real meet when it matters, when they're tired, it's been a long day and long night, and they have to push through their limits. They're not used to just giving up or taking it easy.
Mm-hmm. And well, you mentioned Kenzie Blanchard, part of those relay teams, but also had some phenomenal solo performances for you at state, and she really did well in the hurdles, getting a state championship in one of the hurdles. I think she was a state runner-up in another one too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kenzie's been great. She came into track as her freshman sophomore year and stuff, even kind of last year as mostly a soccer player. She worked hard and she was a good athlete, but she's never super committed until last year when I finally convinced her that she was actually good at hurdles. And ever since this last summer, she's been putting in a lot of work to refine her hurdling and her speed, and she made tons of progress this year. Crushed our school record in the 300 hurdles and just untouchable in our division. And then in the 100 hurdles, which wasn't her greatest event, she got down into an extremely competitive spot and ended up runner-up, which earned a bunch of extra points. Like, she had an amazing season.
Yeah, and now hopefully she'll continue that amazing success up at NAU starting next year. And, well, I know we talked about the great core of seniors you had for this team, that core that helped get you that state championship. But, let's talk about some of the people who are going to be coming back for you next year, especially including some underclassmen like Libby Lavacek, who did so well for you in the pole vault, not just at the Division III state meet, but also at the Open state meet as well. I'm sure she's going to be looked upon as one of the athletes for next year who's going to be asked to do a lot to carry the load for Prescott girls cross country or track and field.
Yeah, Libby's been doing great. She had a good season. A little rough in the start, just getting back into things. But by the time we got down to the end meets, she was in top form. She did really well, broke her own school records and placed pretty well. And there was really good pole vault competition on the girls' side this year, especially. So she did good last year as a freshman, hyped up, and then the competition stepped up with her this year, and she kept up.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, I almost forgot here about another individual state champion. You had Riley Hobson, who brought home the medal for you in the javelin. I know, talking to her at graduation, looks like she might be joining Kenzie Blanchard on the NAU track and field team this coming season.
Yep, Riley had an amazing season as well. She went from early on kind of trying all the little events. She was one of my heptathletes in the beginning, and then she fell in love with javelin and really dialed that in. And this year she had a great season, adding tons of distance, getting up there and winning state championship and third place in open state, highest place there. And she is, planning to also compete at NAU.
Okay. Well, we talked about Libby coming back for you next year. Who are going to be some of the other returners we're going to be seeing next year who could be really key athletes for Prescott girls track and field?
We've got Libby coming back. Aubrey from the relay teams is coming back for her all alone. Her team's going to be gone. But Aubrey and Wiley, and then we have a handful of girls on the distance side especially that are underclassmen. All the sprinters and other things are younger. They're coming up, so that's yet to be seen. But we've got some really strong girls, Jade and Jenna and Savannah, on distance. Ella had an amazing season. Audrey. So we have a pretty good handful of girls on the distance side that'll be competitive. Plus Aubrey on the sprints and Libby in pole vault.
All right. Well, Coach Zeminski, want to thank you very much for joining us here on the Tri-City Sports Roundup this morning and giving everyone loads more information on what made Prescott girls track and field such a great team. Of course, state champions this year and our KYCA Tri-City Sports Roundup #1 local team of the year. Coach, congratulations to you and the Lady Badgers on a wildly, incredibly successful season. Congratulations for making our #1 spot here on our list. And, of course, best of luck to you and Prescott come next year.
Thank you very much, John.
Okay, again, that is Michael Zeminski, the head coach of the Prescott girls cross-country team, as we wrap up another top 10 list here on the Tri-City Sports Roundup, and we've got plenty more ahead for you. Folks, coming up on future shows, we're going to have the top 10 local grads at college of the year. We've got top 10 local games of the year, top 10 local female athletes of the year, top 10 local male athletes of the year. And in that last one, probably a lot of you out there going, oh, yeah, I know who's going to get that #1 spot. That's a no-brainer. Well, I'm not going to give any spoilers. You're just going to have to wait for that one. But I'm sure everyone out there has their ideas of, oh, he's got to have this at #1. This one's got to be #1. That one's got to be #1. Well, we'll all find out together eventually. But coming up next week on the show, we will have our top 10 local coaches of the year. And again, as you heard of all these teams that did so well this season, probably a lot of their coaches are going to make that list. And remember, it's not just the coaches who win championships or who go far in the playoffs that make the list. You also got to look at some of these coaches who, well, they took a team that wasn't expected to do a whole lot, and they really turned it around. So those are also coaches we consider for this list. Anyway, that will be on the show next week. Top 10 local coaches of the year. Meanwhile, coming up here on KYCA this morning, it's our usual slate of local talk shows. Right after this show, we've got Healthline with Dr. David Hancock. Then at 10 a.m., it is Drive Time AZ, where you can get all your automotive questions answered by a whole horde of automotive experts. Then at 11 a.m., we've got Eye on Prescott. So that is our slate of local talk. And, we've even got some local sports action today here in our area. Northern Arizona Wranglers, they are back home. They will be taking on, I believe they're taking on the Vegas Nighthawks tonight. That game will start at 6:05 p.m. And, been a bit of a struggle for the Wranglers this season, but it looks like even their last 2 games are losses. Didn't lose by very much. It looks like they're just on the cusp of starting to turn things around here in the second half of the season. So get on out there if you can and root on Northern Arizona Wranglers. That's a 6:05 kickoff from the Findlay Toyota Center over in Prescott Valley. So, again, best of luck to the Wranglers in their game today. And, of course, we got other sports action going on. You know what? Our local football teams, they are taking part in 7-on-7 scrimmages. In fact, this past week we had Prescott, Bradshaw Mountain, Chino Valley, and Camp Verde and Mingus all gathering over at Prescott High School for 7-on-7 scrimmages. So, good chance to see who's going to be in the starting lineup for those teams this year, how things are going, how things are looking for the offense. Obviously, a lot of holes for Prescott to fill. They graduated so many players. Bradshaw Mountain also with a ton of holes to fill as well. Chino Valley, they got a new coach who's putting things together. So we'll keep you posted on how things are going with our local football teams and their 7-on-7 scrimmages. Well, folks, that's going to do it here for Tri-City Sports Roundup. Join us again next week for the show. Till then, have yourselves a good one. See you next week.